You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. People across Long Island and around the world are mourning the death of Pope Francis. Thousands have been gathering in St. Peter's Square to pray for the late pontiff. The Vatican says a stroke put him in a coma and then led to heart failure. Pope Francis, who was 88 years old, had been suffering from chronic lung disease. Now, eventually, the Pope's body will be brought to St. Peter's Basilica for public viewing. Then there will be a funeral mass and his burial, but no timeline has been set yet. However, we do know he will be buried at St. Mary Major Basilica in Rome, not at St. Peter's. After that, cardinals from around the world will begin conclave, where they will vote on a successor. Now, before his death, Pope Francis was able to bless thousands in St. Peter's Square on Easter Sunday.
What a kind of fitting farewell, the joy of the gospel that he embodied so powerfully. So we pray for his beautiful soul.
Now, in a few moments, we'll hear from Virginia Huey, who spoke to Long Islanders who explained why his death is such a big loss. And the Trump administration is threatening New York to stop congestion pricing. The U.S. Transportation Secretary says the state is at risk of losing funding from the Federal Highway Administration. The latest deadline passed yesterday, and it was the second time the state ignored it. New York says the plan will stay in place unless a court orders otherwise. The new deadline is May 21st. And President Donald Trump is showing support for Massapequa on Truth Social. The president has weighed in on the state's mascot ban, asking the Secretary of Education to fight for the people of Massapequa. He says in part, quote, forcing them to change the name after all of these years is ridiculous and, in actuality, an affront to our great Indian population. Long live the Massapequa Chiefs. All right, let's take a quick look at tomorrow's weather. It was a gorgeous weekend. Let's see how tomorrow will be shaping up. Pretty sure that it will be dry, and it will. The sun will be peeking through clouds, but check out the temps. We are near 70s. We'll have your 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit. Now, Long Islanders are mourning the loss of Pope Francis. Virginia Huey has more.
Black bunting outside St. Agnes Cathedral as a symbol of mourning. The faithful filled the pews. Tributes to Pope Francis from across Long Island poured in after the Vatican announced the pontiff's death at 88.
It just saddens me that I heard the news when I woke up this morning. It was on my phone. And I pray for him.
It is truly a loss, but it is a joyful day, knowing that he is with the Lord.
Pope Francis's death came one day after the frail but determined pontiff greeted thousands in St. Peter's Square following Easter Mass, and just weeks after a lengthy battle with double pneumonia. The Vatican said the Pope died of a cerebral stroke and heart failure.
We're going to pray for everyone that loved the Pope, and that's the whole world. Who could not love the Pope?
Bishop John Bars praised Pope Francis's tireless efforts to seek world peace.
To the very end, he was praying for peace in Ukraine, peace in the Middle East, just peace, and a beautiful sense of all the violence and war-torn areas of the world. He wanted to build this architecture of peace.
As the first Latin American pontiff, Pope Francis held a special place for Hispanic Catholics, including the parishioners here at St. Agnes Roman Catholic Church in Brentwood. 71-year-old Morris Blanco of Brentwood immigrated from El Salvador in 1982. Speaking in his native language, Blanco told Newsday he felt a connection to the Pope because of his heritage, his compassion for the poor, and his defense of immigration.
Él estaba pendiente de la gente hispana y no de la gente hispana del mundo entero, ¿no? ¿Verdad?
25-year-old Brenda Rivas agrees. She immigrated from El Salvador when she was 5.
He seemed like he cared to connect with you as a person.
Pope Francis is also being remembered for his compassionate approach and inclusion of the LGBTQ community.
Pope Francis tore down walls while others put them up. He was far from perfect, but he certainly changed the tune of the Catholic Church by opening the doors to LGBTQ people. When he blessed same-sex unions, he spoke out against the criminalization of being LGBTQ+.
The 266th pontiff will be buried in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome. For Newsday TV, I'm Virginia Huey.
Newsday Sports is brought to you by Sun Nation Energy, helping Long Islanders save on their energy bills for over 20 years.
The Knicks survived Game 1 of the opening round of the playoffs against Detroit Pistons. They got the 34 points from Jalen Brunson that you might expect, but what they got was contributions up and down the roster to stage a fourth quarter comeback, down 9 points at one point. They got campaign help get them back in the game. Jalen Brunson switched sneakers after a very sluggish start, came back in the fourth quarter with about 9 minutes left, and the Knicks went on a 21-0 run.
I think he grabbed his cape.
I feel like they had a great game plan, and I just had to reset, and I just found a way to get going in the second half. Teammates had the utmost confidence in me, and I appreciate that to the fullest, and so just had to find a way to reset and just regain composure.
It's one win, and then we got to reset and get ready for the next one. So understand what goes into it, and there's a lot of things that we can do better.
The physical play that the Pistons promised, they did bring, but it led to foul trouble, which kind of set them back a lot of the game. The Knicks did try and treat this afterward as step one, something they have to build on. But I think you got everything you were asking for. Guys were diving on the floor. To me, that's a building block that the Knicks would like to take into Game 2 against a young, inexperienced team and really try and finish this off quickly with Boston looming in the second round. This is Steve Popper for NewsdayTV.
It's just a regular Sunday at Veterans Park in East Northport. But you may notice something different about these skateboarders. Maybe it's the protective pads, extra warm-ups, or the gray hairs.
I'm so sore today.
They call themselves the aged skaters, or the old bones brigade, but most would probably just call them crazy.
People say it's a midlife crisis, but it's not.
That's Thomas Bruckner. He's 50 and just rediscovered skateboarding with his son. And yes, he's already broken several bones, but he loves it.
Do you have to be a little more careful now that
I do. We don't have jelly bones anymore. We have brittle bones. Young man sport, young woman sport, perhaps. But I've never really played by the rules anyway.
50-year-old Howard Cho founded the group online and says it's a great way to meet other older skaters who want to get back into the sport. He says the camaraderie of the group is second to none, and that's why 60-year-old Stephen Buth keeps coming back.
This is the most supportive place I've ever been in my life.
Thomas Bruckner says when he got back into skateboarding, he had to relearn tricks from his youth.
I had 10 tricks on a half pipe that I knew, and I did them all, and now I'm learning new tricks. So you can teach an old dog new tricks.
And while these skaters know some people will call them absolutely crazy for doing this, they say every time they come to the park here, more and more skaters their age are showing up.
You're going to learn, you're going to get hurt, and you're going to get better, and people are going to be stoked for you, and yeah, it's worth doing.
In East Northport, Andrew Enger, Newsday TV.
All right, age is just a number. Now let's take a closer look at your 7-day forecast, shall we, to see how the week is shaping up. So like I said, Tuesday, Earth Day, it's going to be 70 degrees plus. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we do have some sun. Saturday, we have some rain, but that may change. But again, we are above 60s all week long.
Long Island weather is brought to you by Fire Island Ferries.
You're watching Newsday TV. For more on all the stories you've seen here today, head over to Newsday.com. I'm Ken Bufa. Thank you so much for joining us.